Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Francilla. I am a new Seattle-based flight attendant working with a major US airline company, and in today's video I share with you all my journey non-reving for the first time for leisure going to Accra, Ghana. Yes, your girl went back home to visit family and friends. Definitely be a series of videos. Although my trip was very short and I had specific goals and agendas, I did experience a few things here and there, so go ahead and tap on that subscribe button. That way when I post another video you get the notification immediately. The start of this entire trip began early morning on the 16th and arrival time was 17 in the afternoon. So let's get into it. So I started off my day obviously getting the lips ready, the hair ready, and getting myself on this trip, y'all. Once again, I am going from Seattle to Accra. However, with this non-rev trip, I did not book the regular standby trip. I booked a jump seat because I wanted to guarantee my seat on this flight, and it is my first time and I could not risk not getting a seat on the flight. So because I was jump seating, I had to first, even though I'm going from Seattle to Accra, I had to first book Seattle to New York, New York to Accra, and I booked the jump seat for each flight. So with our travel benefits, if you're flying domestically, obviously it's free. However, if you're going international, you do have to pay taxes. So from JFK to Accra, I paid about $11.50 and paid $0 from Seattle to JFK. Hence, my total cost one way from Seattle to Accra was $11.50. So once I got to the airport, I started off by trying to check in my bag, which was a bit of a hassle because, mind you guys, this is the first time I was going through this process. But I did get assistance from our crew members who work at the airport. So it was different. It was all over the place a bit, but I finally figured it out. I checked in my bags. Mind you, like I said, I booked 2 separate flights. So while I was picking up the flights that I wanted, which is from Seattle to JFK and then JFK to Accra, I made sure to pick a Seattle to JFK flight that had a longer layover between the next flight, giving me time to get to New York, pick up my checked in bags from JFK, and then go back to check it in for JFK to Accra. So be mindful of that. But if you're not checking in any bags, it's pretty simple. You can literally pick up the trips that have like a 2-hour layover in between. That way you're not forced to be stuck at the airport for 6 hours like I ended up doing. Side note, y'all, I had to pop my ears. I don't know what was going on. My ears were clogged up. But like I said, it was my first time, so I just wanted to make sure that I had enough time and I did not want any rush or anything to hinder the process. So once I got to JFK, obviously I went to baggage claim, I grabbed my bags, then I went back to the ticketing area to check in my bags. I will say that I have been to JFK as a passenger before I started working with this airline, and going there now as a crew member was totally different. The experience was definitely different. I don't know if it's because I'm in the industry now, but I will say it was a very smooth process. Everybody was super helpful and I was thankful for that because my first experience with this airline as a passenger at JFK was not really the best. So I was definitely excited and very happy that this time around it was much better. The flight from Seattle to New York was pretty chill. It was pretty good. It was a long flight. The crew members were amazing. They took care of me and I appreciate that for sure. Even though I booked the jump seat, I was looking forward to having some seats available on this flight so I can take advantage of it once the boarding door closes. And thankfully there were seats available in the back of the main cabin as well. So I did not use the jump seat. Total sit at JFK was about 6 hours, but in between me going to baggage claim, checking in my bag, I had about 3 hours left where I read, I ate, I listened to music, I was on social media. I had some me time, okay? But it wasn't that bad. But looking back on this trip though, I might next time risk the 2-hour layover and see how that goes if I'm going to make it on time, because I do have clear to go through security. So after the long wait, it was finally time to go to Accra. I changed into my uniform, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but then when you do check in at the check-in counter, you also have to check in with the gate agent, the captain, and the crew members as well. But firstly, the gate agent for sure. Let them know that you're here and you're jump sitting, and then they will let you know what they want you to do. For me, all the times that I went on board, they made me board right after minimum crew was on board. So that definitely made the process easy for me. And I made them aware that if any seats becomes available, they should kindly let me know so I can take it as well once the boarding door closes. Also had a quick chat with these ladies. They were super sweet. Apparently they relocated from the US to Accra and they came back to the US for a vacation and they're going back home to Accra. So they were super sweet. Thankfully, there were several seats available. Honestly, I was in the back already, so I decided to take advantage of the main cabin. Personally, I don't care where I sit on the aircraft as long as I get to my final destination. That's what's most important. But your girl got a seat, so once again, I did not use the jump seat, even though that's what I booked.
I finally made it. I know I didn't say anything, but I just took my first non-rev trip to Accra, and I arrived. I just got picked up. I'm gonna share more, but we are here.
Alright friends, so this was the first part of my trip, that is the travel to Accra. I stayed for about 6 to 7 days. As I said in the beginning, I went there with a specific goal in mind, and once I achieved that goal, I was ready to dip, plus I had to come back to work. Non-reving there was not that bad. It was actually pretty smoother than I thought, especially it being my first time. It was easy to follow the process and figure out what to do and when to do what. And then after my stay, obviously I had to go through the same process again. I had to book for my return back to the US, Seattle specifically. So I was supposed to do Accra to Seattle. Once again, like the initial process, I had to book 2 jump seats or 2 flights, one from Accra to New York, JFK, and then the second one was from JFK to New York. The payment for the jump seat was different. Unlike from JFK to Accra, I was able to make the payment at the ticket counter, like the check-in counter. As I was checking in, I made the payment then at the counter. However, when I got to Accra, when I was doing Accra to JFK, after booking the jump seat and everything, and then I got to the airport, where I checked in my bags was not the same place where I made the payment for the jump seat. I had to go to a Delta counter or ticketing counter where they took the payment. Unlike from JFK to Accra, where I paid $11.50 total in taxes and fees, from Accra to JFK, I had to pay about $131.50, I believe. The $11.50 was still constant for the US taxes and fees. However, I think Accra charged an additional $100 and something again. That brought the total amount to about $131.50 from Accra to JFK. So it was a bit pricey compared to the other way around, which was from JFK to Accra. So that was the only huge difference that I noticed in the process, where I made the payment and then also how much I paid as well. But in all, with regards to the fees and charges, it's still cheaper than an actual ticket, you know, because a ticket at that time was like $2,700, and that was like basic economy and everything. The process in the car was also very smooth. I felt different. I don't know. I think it's because I'm in the industry now, because I definitely felt different roaming through the streets of the Accra airport. But everybody was super helpful. Anybody that I spoke to was super helpful and willing to help. Plus, this was my second time leaving out of Terminal 3 at the Accra Kotoka International Airport. So I wasn't really used to where things were or how things go. Once I made the payment, I went back to the check-in counter, and then I checked in my bags once again, and I went through security. I went through immigrations first and then security, and it was pretty smooth. There wasn't a line, so it wasn't super busy. It wasn't busy at all. So it made my process very seamless and easy.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna.
Okay guys, I made it to the airport. I'm finally here. I went through security. As I said, I'm going to be sharing this journey with you all, where I show you guys how
or what you need to know if you're jump seating to a place like Accra. So I definitely took myself through the process just to get that experience. So that has been done. The payment is definitely very different from JFK. Unlike JFK, where you can make the payment at the ticket counter, when you get to Accra, you can't do that. There's such a specific ticket counter where you go to make the payment for the taxes and fees related to traveling internationally. But it's obviously a really good rate. I'm yet to figure out what the exact amount is, but once I do get it, I'll definitely indicate it on the screen at the bottom there. But yeah, this is where we are. I've gone through security, but unfortunately the US government requires that the airline, or in this case Delta, does a second screening at the gate before boarding. So I've gone through the first main security, which is equivalent to TSA in the United States. I've gone through that, so the next thing I'm going to do is to do another screening at the gate before I board. And once again, I am jump seating, so the process is definitely very different, or it's almost similar to standby or regular standby. My seat is obviously very much guaranteed, so we'll figure it out when we get there. So stay tuned. Once again, after I went through the secondary security checkpoint, I checked in with the gate agent. They made me aware that once minimum crew had boarded, they would let me board the aircraft. Once I got to the aircraft, I met with the purser. She was super sweet. Pilots were pretty nice too. I also checked in with the captain. Luckily, there was Delta One available, so I got that. So it was definitely a pleasant ride, and now I understand why people pay for first class, business class. The comfort definitely makes a huge difference in the overall flight experience. I kid you not. Just the infrastructure alone adds to the value of the experience. So it was definitely really nice getting the opportunity to experience that. This view was super beautiful. I could not stop staring at it. The view of Accra, several thousands of feet above, is so pretty. It was so beautiful, and I appreciated that moment a lot, knowing that working with this airline has provided me with this opportunity, you know. So I was very much grateful being able to go back home, visit family and friends, and to just do that out of a whim. Like, typically when we're traveling back home, it's a whole event. It requires a whole process, like literally buying ticket a year, 6 months, 7 months, 5 months ahead of time. But just for me to be able to get up one day in September and decide to go back home in October, it's just an amazing feeling, and I'm super grateful. Once again, once I got to JFK Airport, I went through the same baggage claim process. Initially, I went through customs. From customs and immigrations, I went to get my bags, and then I went back up to the 4th floor, I believe, to the ticketing area to recheck in my bag. Like I said earlier, I had booked the jump seat. However, once our flight from Accra to JFK arrived super early, so my layover initially was supposed to be about 6 hours. Now it was going to be over 7 hours, and I was not ready to stay in JFK for that long. So I spoke to the person checking in my bags, and I asked them if they could in any way rebook me a regular non-standby flight if I canceled my jump seat, and they did that. They set me up pretty nicely, and mind you, that flight was super early. So I left Accra 10 in the evening, and I arrived at JFK like about a few minutes after 4 in the morning at JFK. So it was super early, so I knew potentially chances of me getting a seat on that flight from JFK to Seattle was very high, because a lot of people typically in the morning miss their flights, or some people just don't show up. So it did work out. I did actually get a seat. So the only changes I made with my itinerary was that I swapped my jump seat booking for a regular non-standby flight, which typically means that you're at the mercy of whatever seat is available at the end of the day. So I did eventually get a seat on this flight from JFK to Seattle and made it back safely. I am super thankful and grateful for this opportunity to be able to go back home and visit family and friends, to go back to my home country, you know. It meant a lot being able to do this, and the fact that it was very smooth, and these are some of the benefits that make this job so glamorous and so worthwhile. that's it for you all. Stay tuned for more videos on this trip, so stay tuned. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, once again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, give the video a thumbs up, and share your thoughts in the comment section below. One thing to note though is that the reason why I had to recheck in my bag every single time I got to the next destination was because of the type of ticket that I booked. So if you do book a normal standard non-rev ticket or standby ticket, your luggage would essentially just go to your final destination. So if you don't want to go through the hassle of having to recheck in your bags, then you should probably consider booking that type of ticket and not the jump seat. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.